This is my image of a tour. A whole bunch of people strung out in a line like this, struggling to keep up with the relatively slow pace of the guide, actually. Taking a picture of whatever interests them. Notice the line continues. I think that's the end of the line. And when the guide has something to say, she will stop, wait until the last guy finally gets up there, or kind of almost gets up there. And even before that, she'll start talking, but the people in the back probably can't hear because it's too far back. And if they did care that much, they'd be up in front. But it's good for tourism, and it's good for people who are infirm, overweight, out of condition, just want to get away from their lives for a while, see something different. It's a great thing. So the original clock tower was built by Ali Pasha in 1812. Heavily damaged in the First World War, and then rebuilt in 1968. I'll go down there in a minute, but right now I want to look at this area here for some reason. It just intrigues me, just because it's accessible, I guess. See if I can see what, if anything, it's used for. What's interesting is it keeps going down these stairs into something. It's all, the walls grown with vegetation and moss and grass. Gets a fair amount of water here. Here's why we have to be careful. This area drops down here further, then goes up, it looks like. There's a passage there, but this light is not good enough. I should have brought a better light. Who knows if these rooms were built with an original use in mind, or were they just built because they could be, and then the uses were refined afterward. How much of this, if any, is original is a good guess. But let's go see what's down here. I'm underneath the clock tower now, and some of this work looks relatively new, frankly. So to what degree the whole thing had to be rebuilt, interesting question. This is a pretty nice vault area down here. Large and good condition. But you can see how what a normal structure on the top looks like, what it actually belies beneath it. Others have recently sat here, drank a beer, ate some peanuts, smoked a cigarette, chatted. You can imagine at some time in the past somebody bringing up their sleeping goods and just camping out here before you couldn't do that. Here we go down deeper. It's interesting. Would this have been a walkway at one time, perhaps, giving access into areas to the right? Don't know, can't see that well. Good, we'll go down further. See what the innards of this is like. Room that has a door, interesting. Even here it's arched. Was that in order to provide support for this building, perhaps, and no other purpose? Here we'll pursue another diversion underneath the clock tower complex. Certainly a wide, broad walkway for some important purpose. Ticket booth. So this would have been an earlier entrance, but a pretty substantial road nevertheless, and still in very good condition. Here, part of the drain system. It's a little bit difficult for me to understand what it was they were trying to do with the cannon, other than scare the hell out of whatever was down there, whoever was down there. I suppose you could practice enough to get a reasonably decent accuracy for that hilltop right there and anything coming up it. So using grape shot or the equivalent, you probably could do some considerable damage to any troops trying to move up through there. I guess all that makes sense. The with the lovely benches goes unused because it sits in the blazing sun. What's the point? Now I will go into the area to the right, the hard right, but not the soft right, so I'll come back, I guess, to this point. So in theory, this direction should be the divan, whatever that is, of Ali Pasha. I think it's the rooms that were his rooms. So we'll see. It's interesting why that is even designed like that. We hear a wonderful interplay of lines, if nothing else. But then what were those pointed areas, indentations for? And sometimes they escape access up. So that steps had an interpretive sign suggesting that in here somewhere had been a Bektashi, or Bektash, how you pronounce it, church that was subsequently destroyed. But although this looks like living quarters for someone who may work here, I wonder if this is a remnant of that. So this doesn't appear to go very far. And it doesn't appear to have had any function other than to be a support for a much higher level. Unless this goes somewhere, well, we'll see. But the construction must have been something. I wonder if anybody wrote a novel like Ishmael Kadar wrote his novel about the building of the pyramids. Well, I'm going to follow this trail up just for the fun of it. Now, what's interesting here is this large pipe. The cistern is underneath the main vaulting in the castle, but I don't know precisely where that is. So one, I guess, that built on bedrock, as this appears to be all about me, particularly right straight ahead, all that this vaulting does is provide a higher platform for seeing over high walls. You see I'm angling over here to go a little bit deeper. I'm trying to keep a very good eye on the ground, because from that cistern I saw in another place I was at, it drops off into the void. See, I'm on bedrock right now. And I've got to be just about at the end of all of this vaulting. There's still some light showing through various portals. They themselves sometimes arched, not so there. But I'm guessing this is just the exterior wall. And maybe this is just an area that's crumbled down, although there is an archway going to the left in the form of a window, so go figure. There's where I came from. All this debris may have tumbled down from the disintegration above. This archway just is access to that very small room. But notice these holes in the wall, which oftentimes if you see a pattern, there's not much of a pattern. Well, right there is. It indicates that at one time there would have been a floor installed at that level. And you can see more such similar holes. And even up above, the same. So I don't think it's unreasonable that this area could have been used extensively for storage at several levels. I want to see what these dark lines are. Maybe they're just stones. Maybe they're wood. No, they're just stones. But see, these are almost square here. And that ledge you see, of course, an opening there could have been for air, but that ledge may also be support for a more major wall up above, or floor up above. And you see, this is not really a classic bedrock. It's more of a composite material, as you can see from weathering underneath, quite capable of being eroded away, which it is. So now I'm back at the entry again, and you on this soft right and see where that leads me. See, now look at up there, you see those rows of square holes, and here more rows but bigger holes, suggesting substantial floors above. Now what these smaller holes were, don't know. Maybe they were just for ornament, maybe they held shelving, maybe there was some kind of awning that came out. This goes nowhere. So the interesting thing is that over time there have been several entrances into the castle.